her. Pay attention to Stauch. She's gonna really. She's not happy about her brother being there, testifying against her. He had no clue what's going on. So in this video right here, you will see the brother take the stand, okay? And watch her emotions.
You may all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Mr. Young?
Thank you, Mr. Lowry, this is your first time being in the courtroom ever, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're probably extremely nervous.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get through this, okay? I'm just going to ask you some questions and we're going to have a conversation. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
Did you let the jury know about your other family members, other brothers and sisters, your parents, that kind of thing?
I got another sister. Her name's Julie. I got a sister named Amy. My mom, Amber. I mean, that's pretty much.
And then
I got my nieces, all my nieces.
What's your niece's name? Do you remember?
I got Harley, Jazz, Kanae, Cash, Maya, Jada.
And is Deborah your mother?
That's my mom, yeah.
And for the most part, did your family grow up in North Carolina, where you're from, Lumberton, and
Yes, sir.
some still living out there?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned that Letecia Stauch is your sister.
Yes, sir.
And you see her in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Could you point her out and describe what she's wearing?
A green sweater.
And when was the last time you saw her?
When we came down here in 2020.
So January 2020?
Yes, sir.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit. When you said you came out here, who came out here?
Me, my mom, and my Aunt Brenda.
And what's Brenda's last name?
Akron.
What's your mom's last name?
Locklear.
Why'd you come out here?
We come out here to help support Tisha because we felt like she was being wrongly accused for something that we believe she would never do.
And so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We also want to come out here and help look for him. He did.
Let me take a deep breath, all right? You let me know when you're ready. So you wanted to come out and help. You refer to her as Tisha.
Mm-hmm.
And you also wanted to look for Gannon.
Yes, sir.
So do you remember when you came out?
January 31st, I think. 30th. It was late January. It was about to be February. Because my mom's birthday was that weekend or something, that next week.
And why particularly did you come out?
Because I knew my mom was going to come out here.
Did you want to support your mom?
Yes, sir.
Now, was it January 30th of 2020 when you all flew out here?
I believe so.
Where did you fly to? Do you remember?
Denver.
You got to Denver, what did you do?
Went looking for her and Harley.
Rent a car?
Yeah, we rented a car from the airport.
Did your Aunt Brenda Awkward rent the car?
Yes, sir.
And did she pay for y'all to come out here?
Yes, sir.
And
Mr. Lowry, you're kind of soft-spoken at times. Could you put the microphone a little bit closer to you so the jurors can hear you a little better? Thank you, sir.
Well,
so when you get to Denver, your aunt rents a car. What was the game plan? What were you going to do?
to get Tisha and Harley at least 2 around us.
And did they know you all were coming out?
Yeah,
And so, do you recall renting a Nissan Altima?
I think so.
You drive down to Colorado Springs, I assume?
Yeah.
Who was driving? Do you remember? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Aunt Brenda.
And so, what happens when you get to Colorado Springs? Where do you go?
Like a shopping center. But that's where we found them at.
Were you guys talking to him on your way down?
Yeah, when we was looking for them.
And so, would this be a shopping center kind of on the north side of town, next to a Marshall's department store?
Yeah, there was the marshals there.
And did they tell you why they were? Let me ask you this: did the defendant, Tisha, tell you why they were at the Marshall store?
She didn't tell us why. Not that I can remember.
Did she tell you whether or not she had an interaction with police officers?
Yes, sir.
You have to kind of wait till I finish asking the question because she's typing everything down we say, okay? So what did she tell you happened prior to you getting there?
That the laws had thrown down and detained you.
Say anything about Harley?
Yes, Harley said also Harley.
That upset you?
Yes, it did.
So where did you go after you went to this Marshall's parking lot area to pick them up?
We got a hotel.
And do you remember the name of the hotel?
No.
Does the extended suites sound familiar?
Yeah, extended suites.
So what happened when you got to the extended suites?
That was when they was discussing wanting to get their stuff back, not get their belongings.
And who was discussing that?
Tisha.
Once you picked up the defendant and her daughter Harley, who was kind of calling the shots as to what you were going to do and where you're going to go and things like that?
I don't really know.
Well,
I'm type like I said, I'm type of person like just stand in the corner and wait until they just tell me what they want to do.
You're just there to help.
I'm just there.
So how many rooms did you end up getting at the extended suites?
I can't remember.
Did you spend the night there that night?
Yeah.
Do you remember who was in your room?
My mom was, I believe my grandma was with us. I can't remember if we had just one room or two rooms.
Well, was Harley and your sister, the defendant, in the room with you?
We was around each other most of the time. I was together most of the time.
Okay. So, you mentioned earlier that the defendant was talking about wanting to get her stuff back. What did you do the next morning to do that?
We ran the van.
And who rented the van?
And Brenda.
So Brenda Awkward rents, what kind of van did she rent?
Like a cargo van, I guess you'd say.
And so, did all of you go to rent the van?
I don't know if all of us went or not. I believe we did.
So it's you, your mother, Deborah, Brenda Awkward, Harley, and the defendant, Tisha. Where do you go?
I know at one point she tried to go to the police station and get her pocketbook and stuff like that.
Tell the jury about that. Where exactly did she go? And you probably don't know Colorado Springs very well. So did she tell you she's going to the police department? And did you actually go to the police
Yeah,
department?
we went to the police department.
And did she go in to try to get her belongings back that was hidden?
Yeah, she did.
You know whether or not she got those items?
I can't remember.
So where do you go from the police department?
I think that's when we went to that house to get their clothes and stuff.
So this would have been January 31st now, 2020?
I believe so.
The next morning?
That Saturday, Friday, that Friday.
So what happens when you get to her house?
We just start loading up the clothes and stuff that's coming out of the house.
Were there police officers there?
Yes, sir.
What were the police officers doing?
They was checking everything we brought out,
How were they checking?
like looking in the bags and I guess just making sure everyone, everyone's supposed to be there.
And how did you feel about being at the residence that morning?
Just aggravated.
And why were you aggravated?
I feel like I was getting looked at as criminals.
Is that because they were looking at your sister as a criminal?
No, they were looking at the whole family. It wasn't just her.
And so, what kind of things did you guys get out of the house? Do you remember?
Suitcases and clothes, just so I can remember.
Was it all Harley's clothes and all of your sister's clothes?
Yes, sir.
What was the game plan? I mean, where were you going to pick up clothes?
They got their dogs too.
What was the plan on where you were going to go with all the clothes and things? You know?
Well, I know when she got it, she was ready to leave. She was ready to leave.
Did she tell you where she was ready to leave to?
I thought it was South Carolina.
And is that where she moved out to Colorado from, in South Carolina?
I don't think that's where she moved out to Colorado from.
Or did she live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a while?
Yes, sir.
Is that where she was planning on going back to?
That's what I thought.
Is that what she told you?
That's what I can remember.
So how long did it take to load up all her and Harley's things into this cargo van?
Oh, I can't remember. Over an hour, I guess.
So what happens after you get the van loaded?
We leave and go back to the room, I believe.
Do you remember whether or not your sister had an interview with a news reporter?
Oh, yeah. Yes, she did.
Tell the jury about that. How'd that come about?
I don't know how that happened. I just know she just had an interview.
And did she tell you why? I mean, was anybody talking to her about doing this?
I wasn't. I wasn't.
Whose idea was it to have an interview with a news reporter?
I don't know.
Sustained. Jurors disregarding the answer.
So when you went to the house, I'm assuming you went in the cargo van. Did you also take the Nissan Altima? That was,
Yeah, the Nissan was with us.
who was driving which vehicle?
I think I was driving the van, and then Brenda was on the Nissan.
And what vehicle was your sister the defendant in?
Say it again.
What vehicle was your sister and the defendant? Do you remember?
No. I don't remember.
You know, we'll go on to that. So she does an interview with a news reporter. What do you do after that?
I just know we left. I don't remember where we went.
Did you eventually go back to the
We went
hotel?
back, yeah.
Did you remember about what time of day it was?
No.
Go back to the hotel room, and what do you do when you get back to the hotel room?
I know we mentioned something about wanting to go look for him. Because me and my mama, we wanted to go ahead and look for him.
Tell us about that conversation.
Well, we wanted to go. She said she would get up Albert, find out like when they going to go out and look for him again or whatever. But we wanted to go, but at the same time we kind of didn't because we didn't feel like we was getting treated right down here.
Is that because of what happened at the house earlier?
Yeah.
When you first got to Colorado, did you have conversations with your sister about, hey, we got to go out and look for Gannon. We got to go search for him?
We asked if they had any idea where he was at and stuff. I mean, that's about all we asked them.
Did you all ever go search for Gannon?
No, we didn't.
Did she ever say, hey, we got to go look for Gannon?
I mean, she told us that we could. That's all she told us. Like she said, we'll get up with Al and talk to him about it.
She never did. When you get back to the hotel room back on January 31st of 2020, did the defendant leave you all and go somewhere by herself?
Yes.
Did she tell you where she was going?
Go get some dog food for their dogs.
Do you know what vehicle she took?
The Nissan.
The Altima?
Yes, sir.
How long was she gone?
Oh, wow.
Hour?
Well, I can't remember that. I just know she was gone longer than I expected.
Was it 2 hours?
I don't think.
You remember sitting around the hotel room wondering where she's at and when she's getting back, that kind of thing?
Well, I did get on the phone with my wife, and I did tell my wife I feel like she's just been gone too long. But
Say that.
because she was gone for a long time. Like I can't remember how long she was gone, but I didn't expect her to take that long. But then part of me was like, well, maybe she's just trying to take her a minute by herself. So
Did anyone try to call her and say, hey, where are you? What's going on here?
no, not that I can remember.
Does she eventually come back?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What happens when she gets back?
I don't know. She just came back and she was normal to me.
Did she have any dog food or any items for the dogs?
She had some. She came back with some stuff, like she bought something, but I can't remember.
So earlier you had mentioned that she wanted to go back to South Carolina. What was the plan with the cargo van? Was she going to take the cargo van that Brenda Awkward rented to go back to South Carolina?
I don't know if she was gonna take that one. Cause Aunt Brenda went and I doubt Aunt Brenda was gonna let her. I believe Aunt Brenda told her she would get him up there.
And so the next morning, we're now on February 1st, 2020. Did you help her get a new van?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. What did you and your sister do to get a new van?
We went and drove to the budget place. We got another van. And we got the van. We unloaded all the stuff from out of the van into another van. Into the other van.
So was that in the early morning hours?
Yes, sir.
Do you know about what time it was? Is that the first thing you did on February 1st?
I can't remember.
So when you get to the budget area, did you know that you were going to transfer things from one van to another when you got there?
Yeah.
So did you talk about that on the way to the budget rental van?
Yeah.
So talk to the jury about that. How did you guys go about doing that, moving the items from one van to another?
We just went around right to the side of the budget place, and we just backed the vans up and just swapped them out.
During that process, did you see the defendant with a rather large suitcase?
Yes, sir. I seen her with a lot of suitcases. Well, there was a lot of suitcases up there.
Was there one that kind of stood out to you?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. Why did it stand out to you?
It looked like she was struggling with it.
You offered to help her?
Yep.
What'd she say?
She didn't need help.
Did you ask her what's in the suitcase?
Yep.
What'd she say?
Yep. Softball stuff.
Why'd you ask her what's in the suitcase?
You don't feel right about it.
What about that suitcase didn't make you feel right?
I just felt like it was too heavy for her.
Now, at this time, I'd like to publish People's Exhibit 48. It's already been admitted into evidence.
Go ahead.
You recognize that suitcase we see on the TV screen?
Yep.
How do you recognize that suitcase?
Well, it's an old suitcase. I remember that suitcase looked old. And it's gray.
Is that the suitcase you saw your sister putting into the budget van?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase you asked her about what's in it?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase you didn't feel right about?
Yep.
Is that the suitcase she told you softball equipment?
Yep.
Thank you. Take that down. So what happens after you get everything loaded into the budget van from your aunt's rental van?
At that point, we was ready to go home.
Did you drive Brenda Awkward's van back, and did Miss Stauch, your sister, drive the budget van?
I can't remember if we turned that van in there at that place or if we had to turn it in somewhere else. But I mean, I had to drive home with them because it was just me and her.
So do you eventually turn back? It's an enterprise van, right? Is that where you rented the van that Brenda Awkward
I
rented?
think, yeah.
Did you take that van back?
Yeah, we took it back. I think we took it back later on that day.
And did you take the Nissan Altima back to Denver to catch your flight?
Yep.
What did the defendant tell you where she was going to go?
All that I can remember, I don't remember. All that I remember is her saying something about going back to Myrtle Beach.
And did she leave with Harley?
Yeah, all of it.
Did they leave from the hotel?
I can't remember what we split up at. I can't remember what we.
Or did your sister have to go back to the hotel to pick up Harley?
Yep. I think so.
And is that the last time you saw your sister until today?
Yep.
How much older is your sister than you?
14 years.
You know her your whole life?
Yeah.
Can you give the jury an idea about the family background? How often when you see her as you're growing up, that kind of
She
thing?
come to like holidays, came around on holidays.
Where did you guys meet? North Carolina?
She either come down here or go down there, or we might have went to the beach and seen her.
Have you gone to Myrtle Beach on a few occasions to
Yeah,
hang out with Harley?
yeah, me and her. I used to go down here and stay with her. We'd go to the water park, stuff like that on weekends.
Can you let the jury know who your father is?
James Light.
And would that have been your sister's stepfather?
Yes, sir.
Is your dad still alive?
Yes, sir.
You know when he died?
7th birthday. 2004.
Do you know the circumstances on how he died?
Got hit by a car.
Was he walking out in the street? And
I don't know if he was, I don't think he was on the street. I think he was on the side of the road.
do you know anything about the relationship between your father and your sister, Letecia Stauch?
No, sir.
Had your sister ever told you anything unusual between their relationship between your father and her?
No, sir.
If there had been something unusual, do you think you would have heard about it?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Pretty sure my mom would have said something.
Your mother, Deborah, was she, what kind of mom was she?
She was a great mom to me.
Why do you say you're moving?
I'm just saying that. I had no problem with my mom.
Was she very protective?
I think none of us should have a problem with my mom.
Was she very protective of the kids,
Yes, sir.
including Miss Stauch?
Yes, sir.
On these occasions that you spent with your sister, did you have an opportunity to see her interact with other people and make decisions and go through everyday life?
Yeah.
Had you ever known her to have a serious mental illness?
I never, the only thing we always said she probably had was that she was OCD. That was it.
Is that obsessive compulsive disorder?
We used to just obsessive cleaning disorder. Like she had to keep stuff clean.
That's fair. Mr. Lowry, just talk about what you think as opposed to what all of you thought. So if you think it, it's fine. And just say, this is what I thought based on your contacts with her. Okay? Mr. Young?
Do you understand that? And you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you mentioned that she had OCD. Why do you say that?
She liked to keep stuff in a particular spot. She liked to keep everything clean.
But when you're around her, would you make sure that things remain clean? Because she may want to
Yep.
say something to you?
Yep.
Was she the same with Harley?
She was the same with everybody like that. As far as I know.
Anything unusual about that?
No. That's normal to me.
No other people like that?
No.
Have you ever known her to use different names or identify herself by a different name?
Not that I can remember.
Do you ever remember her referring to herself as a person named Harmony?
I do know she didn't like her name, but I don't remember her calling herself Harmony.
Did she tell you why she didn't like her name?
No.
Do you ever remember her calling herself Jasmine?
No.
And you said you had a niece named Jasmine or Jazz?
Jasmine.
Sorry?
Jasmine.
And are you familiar whether or not your sister liked Disney movies? Are you familiar with the movie Aladdin?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a character named Jasmine in that movie?
Yes, sir.
Who's Jasmine in that movie?
Princess.
Do you ever remember her talking in Spanish accent?
No.
You ever seen her in a stressful situation?
No.
How about when you came to Colorado?
Yeah.
During the entire time you're in Colorado with her, have you ever seen her speak in a Spanish accent?
No.
Have you ever heard her refer to herself as Maria?
No.
Does Maria mean anything to you? That name?
No.
You have an opinion as to whether or not your sister has the capacity to know right from wrong.
Thought she did.
Why do you say that?
She's too smart.
Was your sister a really good athlete as well?
Yes, sir.
What kind of sports did she play?
Softball, basketball, baseball.
Was she more of a leader than a follower?
That's what I thought.
Never see her ride a vehicle, for instance.
Yes, sir.
Did she have the ability to stop at red lights, know when it turns green, that kind of?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen her? Have you witnessed her obey the law?
Yes, sir.
And is that throughout your entire life?
Yep.
And is that for even when you were in Colorado?
I mean, we didn't ride with her. She didn't really drive around with us, but I mean, she acted funny the whole time we was down here, to be honest.
Tell us about that. Why was she acting funny?
Seemed like she was stressed out about everything that was going on, looking over her shoulder. But I figured that was because of the laws was constantly coming after her.
You alluded to this earlier, but she had just been in handcuffs prior to you guys picking her up, right?
Yep.
And do you think that may have caused her to be a little bit paranoid about police following her and things
Yep.
like that? What about her capacity to do things intentionally, form intentional acts? Let's talk about the budget rental van. Did you see anything unusual about her ability to rent another van to go to South Carolina?
Okay.
Does she have the capacity to intend to do things?
Yeah.
Does she have the capacity to make decisions and use judgment and reflection in making those decisions?
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard that she pled not guilty by reason of insanity?
I believe that was the only way she did it at that time.
Did what?
What we're here for.
That moment, Aaron.
Okay.
Those are my questions, John. Thank you.
Cross-examination before you.
Mr. Lowry,
Or
this is going to be this is difficult. And we met before, correct? Remember I came when I saw you and your mom and everything. I'm in North Carolina. I want to go back just to the attorney's last question. You indicated she must have been when she did this. And what you're meaning is the Letecia that you know, the only way she could have done something so horrible is she has some type of mental break.
when everything first happened, when we found out that the little boy was found in the body, we found out where he was found. At that point I knew she did it because of when I seen that suitcase and asked her about it, she just had fun with me. And yeah, I thought she might have snapped and went crazy.
Okay.
But now, no. No.
And talk Lumberton, you're from Lumberton, North Carolina, correct?
Yep.
And that's kind of small. How big is Lumberton?
It's not that big.
A pretty small community.
Yeah.
And this case has got a national exposure.
Yep.
And it's got even more kind of exposure, in Lumberton. Lumberton
Yep.
press is, picked up and followed this case pretty closely.
Yep.
And over the 3 years since this has happened, this has caused a lot of shame to come upon you and your family.
Yep.
It makes you feel like your own town, kind of like an outcast.
Yep.
Like everybody's looking and judging you.
Yep.
Like everybody's looking and judging your mom.
Yep.
And this is all your stepsister's fault.
She's not my stepsister.
You have a different father, correct?
I mean, I don't consider that a stepsister. That's half.
Okay. This is all your half sister's fault.
Yes.
And you're angry at her for it.
Yep.
When you were out in Colorado during this time, she was acting different than normal.
Yes, she was.
She was pacing up and down. She seemed highly paranoid.
Yep.
Your mother was concerned for her mental health.
Yep.
Did your mom, Brenda, and you all fly back together?
Yeah, me and my mom went then.
Okay. You flew out of DIA?
Yeah.
Did you call her during that time in Colorado that you were with her being paranoid and believing there was a black BMW that was following her?
Yes, she did do that.
Go back. You're actually named after your father? Middle name?
Yes, sir. My grandpa.
Okay. And Miss Stauch was 16 when she moved out, correct?
I believe.
Okay. So she's 14 years older than you. That means you're only 2 years old when she moved out of the house.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you never had any active memories of her with James or how James treated her.
No, sir.
And you said that would come home from time to time, but she never came back to North Carolina, never came back to Lumberton to see you guys until after James died.
My dad, I can't remember.
Okay. You indicated, let's go. I mean,
I want to get into this.
I know
You might not like
you
it,
might not
but
like it, but
your dad,
James Lowry, did have a drinking problem.
Yes, he
Yes,
did.
he did. As far as I know.
You would
You
get
would
drunk.
get drunk and you'd beat the piss out of your mom.
As far as I know, yep.
Sometimes it'd be so bad that your mom would have to take all you kids to a hotel room until he sobered up.
Yep.
Sometimes your mom would have to go to work and James would be the one watching after you kids. Correct?
Yep.
One time, James gave you so much alcohol that you passed out. Well, they went up to the... One time, James gave you so much alcohol that you passed out.
Yep.
And you were under... So, you passed when you were 7, you would have been, what, 4, 5, or 6?
When you
You
asked
passed
that,
out. Remember how old you were?
I was like 3.
You indicated that, I think you said before, that she would sometimes freak out if something was out of place.
Yep.
Now,
Also, do you recall that sometimes when
the child would come visit you or see you, sometimes she would leave you knives so you'd be able to protect yourself.
Yep, she did do that.
Further questions?
Great.
Yeah, thanks. Tell us a little bit more about your dad. Was he in the armed forces?
Yep.
What branch?
Air Force.
And did he go to war?
I believe he did.
And did that create problems for him?
Yep.
Tell the jury about that. What changed with your dad when he got back from war?
All I know is my mom always told me when he stepped off that plane,
talk about what you observed. You can't talk about what somebody else observed.
I mean, I can't really talk about it because I was 3 when they separated. I was 7 when he died.
That's all right. Now, earlier we talked about your mom being protective of the kids. You remember that?
Yeah.
If something was going on with your dad and the kids, what would your mom do?
She don't play about her kids. Something went on between. I don't know how she did Daddy, but I know there's something went on between her and like her ex-boyfriend or whatever, and they wanted to come to us or say something to us. She didn't play about us. She protected us.
She protected you kids? Did she protect herself?
Yep.
Did you ever see her hit your dad?
I don't remember hitting him. I can't remember much of my daddy because I was so young. But I know her boyfriend after my daddy, Greg, he would hit on her and she would fight him back.
Did you want to be here today to testify?
Nope.
Did you get subpoenaed and that's why you came out here?
Yep.
Mr. Tweeney was asking you questions about insanity or some kind of mental break. And you said initially that's what you thought, but then you said now, no. What did you mean?
I just realized too much got done for you to be saying that, Mom. For her to be saying that.
Well, do you think when she was telling you that their softball were in the suitcase, she knew right from wrong and had the capacity to form the intent to do things?
Yep.
Those are my questions, John. Thanks.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Mr. Lowry? I think we have one. Counsel, retrieve that question and approach, please. Mr. Lowry, do you remember where the green suitcase was retrieved from when you were getting the defendant's belongings at the house?
No.
I will allow reasonable follow-up as to know that question only.
When was the first time you saw that green suitcase?
When we was moving the switch with ants.
Did you ever see it come out of the house when you guys are moving things out of the house into the first thing?
No. Not that I can remember.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. Lowry. You may step down. Watch your step.
Minnie, sit down. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, y'all, we're gonna end it right there. I apologize for that, y'all. My dog did something. Okay. I'm sorry. That's Minnie is my dog. I'm sorry. But that's complete the end of that trial with her and her brother and the tracing of the car. Y'all get a chance, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And you can leave a comment if you like. Thanks for joining me, and I'm out. I will take a day, probably Friday, and go back and we can do it. I'm going to do a reaction on everything that thus far happened, okay, in these two cases, Letecia's and Lori. Y'all have a good morning, noon, evening, or night. I'm out.